Hereby I introduce you a proof of concept animation of refraction on calm ocean with no ray tracing, no path tracing, no 2D screen space distortion, only a logarithmic vertical contraction, which is now achieved using a vertex displacement, but in a real case, it should be some kind of vertical scale deformation. Of course, on this animation, it's not perfect, you can see that shaking, that's perhaps a glitch. Just ignore it, but focus on the comparison with a real ray traced pool example. Vertical scale deformation, based on a pre-baked logarithmic map, or combination of two maps, powered by a shader, the same kind of shader that makes ocean surfaces wave. In our case, it just would use a different math. And as waving oceans can be rendered real-time, this underwater bottom deformation should also be able to be rendered real-time. It's just a different math, however, it's a way simpler task than how complicated to make a water surface wave, because we don't need any foam rendering, splashes, wave peak texturing, specular lightings, sparklings, so it should be way cheaper than animating a waving water surface. There's an optimization job for it to do, of course, especially for not exceeding VRAM. It's just a proof of concept illustration, faking the final fake refraction. But don't forget something, there's a huge room for an optimization. Why? Because the deeper, the cloudier, the rougher, the more sparkling the water body, or surface is, the lower level of the detail we need to make this distortion on, because they cover it in most cases. 2D screen space distortion must still be used for minor ripples, and these small ripples also cover any imperfections of this refractive deformation may have, based on an optimization, so 2D screen space distortion for small ripples also makes the room for optimization bigger. Now let's see, how does it look from outside the camera? As you can see, there's not a single screen space distortion. The underwater strength and the camera angle is simply wired. That red area is what the camera see. The gray area is the original underwater terrain. Of course, this vertical logarithmic deformation must be applied everything that's submerged or partially submerged into the water body. Of course, you might have noticed I did not make the deformation perfect, but this imperfect illustration already proves the concept of a non-ray tracing, non-path tracing, non-screen space distortion refractive water, that is possible to implement in games. The trick is, it's not the water what is refractive. No. The trick is, the underwater objects behave like their image is distorted by refraction.